Have you ever wondered why some elderly people enjoy a peaceful and happy old age while others do not? The answer may lie in who they choose to keep by their side. In this video, we will reveal the 7 types of people you should avoid in your old age to maintain your peace and happiness. Not only will I tell you how to identify them, but also how to deal with them, with practical examples to help you protect your well-being. And believe me, the last one will surprise you. Before we dive into the first type of person you should avoid, if you find value in these videos, please subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. Let's begin. Number 1. The chronic complainer. This is the type of person who always finds something negative in every situation, no matter how positive it may be. They seem to have a radar for detecting problems, even where there are none. Does this sound familiar? Imagine for a moment that you're enjoying a beautiful sunny day in the park. The flowers are in full bloom, the birds are singing happily, and you're relaxed on a bench. Suddenly, your friend, the chronic complainer, arrives and starts, "What unbearable heat! It's sure to rain tomorrow. And look how many people are here, impossible to relax." You feel your good mood slowly fading. This attitude may seem harmless, but recent studies suggest otherwise. According to research published in the Journal of Gerontology, people who are constantly surrounded by negativity are 3% more likely to develop mental health problems in old age. It's as if complaining is a virus that spreads and weakens our emotional immune system. The famous psychologist Martin Seligman, father of positive psychology, brilliantly explains it. Happiness is not the absence of problems, it's the ability to deal with them. The chronic complainer seems to have forgotten this vital lesson, but all is not lost. Just as we learn to protect ourselves from UV rays on a sunny day, we can also learn to shield ourselves from chronic negativity. The key is developing what I call the umbrella of positivity. How does this magical umbrella work? It's simple but powerful. When you encounter a chronic complainer, imagine opening an invisible umbrella over your head. This umbrella has the power to deflect complaints and negativity, allowing only positive words and attitudes to reach you. But beware, this isn't about ignoring real problems. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, it's not the things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. So when the chronic complainer starts their litany, ask yourself, is this a real problem or just a negative interpretation? Here's a practical tip. Every time the complainer expresses a complaint, kindly challenge them to find something positive in the situation. Yes, it's hot, but isn't it wonderful to enjoy the sun after so many days of rain? Over time, they will either learn to see the positive side of things or seek out another, more receptive ear for their complaints. Remember, growing older doesn't mean becoming bitter or negative. In fact, studies show that older people tend to be happier and more satisfied with life than younger people. The secret: surround yourself with positivity and learn to handle life's inevitable difficulties with grace and optimism. Number 2. The unstoppable gossip. Have you ever wondered why some elderly people suddenly seem to isolate themselves from their social circles? The unstoppable gossip is that individual who seems to have a PhD in other people's lives. Their favorite pastime is spreading rumors like seeds in the wind, without caring about the consequences. But why is this behavior so harmful in old age? Imagine for a moment that you're at a reunion with lifelong friends, and suddenly, the unstoppable gossip starts sharing private information about an absent friend. How would you feel? Probably uncomfortable, and rightfully so. Gossip not only damages others' reputations, but it also erodes trust in our relationships. Social psychologist Nicholas DeFonso, an expert in rumors and gossip, explains that gossip can function as a form of social control, but often at a very high cost to individuals and communities. In other words, gossip can be a double-edged sword that ends up hurting everyone involved. But why do some people become unstoppable gossips? The answer might surprise you. According to a study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, people who constantly talk about others often do so to fill a void in their own lives. Instead of focusing on their personal growth or cultivating meaningful relationships, they limit themselves to talking about people they don't really care about. The philosopher Socrates had a brilliant test for evaluating information before sharing it. It's called the triple filter test, and it consists of asking yourself 3 questions. Is it true? Is it good? Is it useful? If the information doesn't pass at least 2 of these filters, it's better not to share it. Imagine how many problems we could avoid if we all applied this simple test before speaking. Now, how can we protect ourselves from the unstoppable gossip without becoming hermits? Here are some practical strategies. 1. Set clear boundaries. If someone starts sharing private information about others, kindly tell them you'd prefer not to listen to that kind of conversation. 2. Change the subject. When gossip starts flowing, steer the conversation toward more positive or interesting topics. 3. Practice empathy. Ask yourself how the person being talked about would feel if they were present. This can help put things into perspective. 4. Be the change you want to see. Instead of joining the gossip, share positive stories about others. As Mother Teresa once said, kind words can be short and easy to speak, but their echoes are truly endless. 5. Keep your secrets to yourself. Remember, if someone gossips to you about others, they'll probably share your secrets with others as well. A poet once said, "Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind?" This ancient wisdom is especially valuable in the age of social media, where gossip can spread at lightning speed. If gossip spreads at the speed of light, manipulation is like gravity, an invisible force that can bend us without us even realizing it. Can you identify when someone is trying to manipulate you? In this 3rd type of person, to avoid in your old age, we face a particularly cunning adversary, the manipulator. The manipulator is like an emotional illusionist. With almost magical skill, they can make you believe that their desires are yours, that their problems are your responsibility, and that your perceptions are wrong. But how can you recognize this master of deception? Imagine you're at a family gathering. Your nephew, with tears in his eyes, asks you to lend him money for an urgent project. He makes you feel guilty for doubting him and hints that you don't love him enough if you don't help. Does that sound familiar? Congratulations, you've just encountered some classic manipulative tactics, emotional blackmail, and guilt. Psychologist George Simon, author of In Sheep's Clothing, describes manipulation as a method of social influence aimed at changing others' perceptions or behavior through deceptive or even abusive tactics. These tactics can include gaslighting, making you doubt your own reality, or playing the victim, always presenting themselves as the wronged party to gain your sympathy. But why are manipulators so dangerous in old age? According to a study published in the Journal of Elder Abuse and Neglect, elderly people are especially vulnerable to manipulation due to factors like social isolation, emotional or financial dependence, and, in some cases, cognitive decline. The manipulator may exploit these vulnerabilities to control your decisions, your finances, and even your social circle. The impact of associating with a manipulator goes beyond immediate consequences. Dr. Harriet Breaker, in her book, Who's Pulling Your Strings, describes it as living in an emotional minefield where every step can trigger an explosion of guilt or insecurity. So, how can we protect ourselves from these masters of deception? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus gives us a clue. It is not things that disturb us, but our perceptions of them. By applying this wisdom, we can develop what I call the shield of authenticity. This shield is built with 3 key elements. 1. Self-awareness. Know your values, boundaries, and emotions. When someone tries to manipulate you, you'll notice the discrepancy between their demands and your own desires. 2. Assertiveness. Learn to say no without feeling guilty. As psychologist Brené Brown says, choosing discomfort over resentment is the most powerful choice. 3. External validation. Maintain healthy relationships with trustworthy people who can offer you an objective perspective when you doubt your judgment. Remember, manipulation thrives in secrecy and confusion. By sharing your experiences with trusted people, you shed light on the shadows where the manipulator hides. A practical tool to detect manipulation is the reciprocity test by psychologist Robert Cialdini. Ask yourself, does this person respect my needs as much as they expect me to respect theirs? If the answer is no, you might be dealing with a manipulator. Before moving on to the fourth type of person, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel with the bell icon so you don't miss future videos. And if you enjoy this kind of content as much as I do, comment "I love these videos." Let's keep learning and improving our lives together. Number 4. The Obsessive Controller. This individual, driven by fear and insecurity, tries to direct every aspect of the lives of those around them. But what really lies behind this need for control? Psychologist John Gottman, known for his research on relationships, points out that excessive control is one of the main causes of conflict in relationships. According to his studies, couples who experience high levels of control are 93% more likely to separate compared to those who practice mutual trust. Imagine for a moment that you're an orchestra conductor. Your partner, children, and friends are the musicians. Do you think the symphony would sound better if you tried to control every movement of their fingers, every breath? Or wouldn't it be more beautiful if you trusted their talent and allowed them to express themselves freely? The philosopher Epictetus once said, "Happiness and freedom begin with a clear understanding of one principle. Some things are within our control, and others are not." This ancient wisdom reminds us that no matter how hard we try, we can never control everything around us. But how can we let go of control without feeling vulnerable? The key is in cultivating trust. Imagine your children are going on a trip. You could be constantly calling, texting, worrying about every detail, or you could tell them, "If you need anything, call me. I trust you and I'll be here if you need me." Which do you think would strengthen your relationship more? Psychologist Carl Rogers, father of person-centered therapy, stated that the curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change. Applying this to our relationships, when we accept that we cannot control everything and trust others, we create space for more authentic and fulfilling relationships. Now, we're not saying that you should abandon all caution and jump into the void without a parachute. It's about finding a healthy balance between caution and trust. As writer Paulo Coelho said, "Freedom is not the absence of commitments, but the ability to choose." And what if, instead of trying to control the future, we focused on enjoying the present? The best moments in life are often the ones we don't plan. That spontaneous conversation with a friend, the unexpected walk in the rain, or the impromptu dinner that turns into an unforgettable night. Psychotherapist Irvin Yalom suggests that life is a gift we are given, lent to us for a time, and it is up to us to live it with courage, curiosity, and gratitude. Perhaps it's time to loosen the reins a little and allow ourselves to experience life in all its unpredictable beauty. Remember, the grace of a relationship, whether romantic or a friendship, lies in the freedom to be oneself. When we let go of control, we give space for authenticity, creativity, and true love to flourish. Number 5. The Attention Seeker. The attention seeker is that individual who turns any conversation into a monologue about themselves. It's as if they have an invisible microphone that only amplifies their voice. Sound familiar? Perhaps it's that friend who always has a more impressive story to tell, or that family member who constantly interrupts to talk about their achievements. But why is this behavior so harmful in old age? Imagine for a moment you're at a gathering with old friends. Everyone has stories to share, experiences to recount. However, the attention seeker dominates the conversation, leaving no room for others to express themselves. Over time, this can lead to social isolation and the erosion of valuable relationships just when we need meaningful connections the most. Clinical psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula describes these people as conversational narcissists. According to her, these individuals see every social interaction as an opportunity to feed their ego, without considering the emotional needs of others. This behavior isn't just annoying, it can have real consequences for our mental and emotional health. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology revealed that older adults who maintain balanced and reciprocal social relationships are 50% less likely to develop depression. In other words, Surrounding ourselves with people who know how to listen as much as they talk isn't just pleasant. It's essential for our well-being. But how do we deal with these attention seekers without becoming hermits ourselves? Here are some practical strategies. 1. Set clear boundaries. When the attention seeker starts their monologue, gently interrupt and say something like, "That sounds interesting. I'd like to share my experience as well." 2. Use the sandwich technique. Insert your own comments between theirs. For example, "Your trip sounds exciting. It reminds me of when I..." 3. Use the power of questions. Redirect the conversation by asking questions to other participants. 1. What's your opinion on this? 4. Arrange group gatherings. It's harder for an attention seeker to dominate when there are more voices at the table. 5. Value your time. If, after trying, the attention seeker doesn't change, it's okay to limit the time you spend with this person. Remember, as philosopher Epictetus said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Maybe we should give the attention seeker this quote as a gift for their next birthday. Now, not everything is negative. Sometimes, behind an attention seeker is an insecure person seeking validation. Instead of avoiding them entirely, we can see it as an opportunity to practice compassion and patience. Who knows? Maybe with time and a little gentle guidance, they could become more attentive listeners. Number 6. The opportunist. Imagine a friendship that flourishes only when the sun shines but disappears at the slightest cloud. Sound familiar? Welcome to the world of the opportunist, that person who orbits your life like a whimsical satellite, drawing closer when they sense benefits and pulling away when they detect difficulties. It's like having an emotional GPS that only works on easy routes and shuts off on tough roads. The Greek philosopher Aristotle warned about these kinds of relationships in his Nicomachean Ethics, where he distinguished between friendship based on utility and true friendship based on virtue. According to Aristotle, opportunistic friendships dissolve easily if the parties are no longer equal, because if they're no longer pleasant or useful, they stop caring for each other. Imagine for a moment that your life is a grand party. The opportunist is that guest who shows up right when the cake is served, but mysteriously disappears when it's time to clean up. Sound familiar? It's like having a vampire friend, but instead of feeding on blood, they thrive on your success and good fortune. Psychologist Susan Krauss-Whitborn, an expert in adult development and aging, points out that these types of relationships can be particularly harmful in old age. As we grow older, we value authenticity in our relationships more. Superficial or opportunistic friendships can lead to feelings of loneliness and disconnection, even when surrounded by people, she states, but all is not lost. Just as we learn to spot deceptive deals in stores, we can develop a detector for opportunists. Here are a few tips. 1. Observe patterns. Do they only call when they need something or when things are going well for you? 2. Analyze reciprocity. Is the relationship balanced, or are you the one who's always giving? 3. Pay attention to your energy. Do you feel drained after interacting with this person? Psychologist William James once said, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." When it comes to opportunists, perhaps wisdom lies in knowing when to say no and when to invest our energy in more genuine relationships. But be careful. Not about becoming cynical or closing your heart to new friendships. It's about being selective and valuing relationships that nourish us in all seasons of life, not just on sunny days. Writer and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson beautifully summarized it. The only way to have a friend is to be a friend. Perhaps the key lies in cultivating within ourselves the qualities we seek in others: loyalty, authenticity, and commitment. Number 7. The secret envious. Envy is like a poison that corrodes the soul. But what happens when it hides behind the mask of false friendship? Let's discover together how to identify and protect ourselves from the secret envious, a character who may be closer than you think. Imagine for a moment someone who is always present in your moments of success, with a smile on their face and words of congratulations on their lips. But something doesn't quite fit. There's a shadow in their eyes, a tone in their voice that doesn't sound entirely sincere. This is the secret envious, a figure who may be more harmful to your well-being than you could imagine. The secret envious is like a parasitic plant that grows next to a robust tree. At first glance, it seems harmless, even decorative, but in reality, it's draining vitality from its host, feeding off its achievements and joys. In the garden of your life, it's crucial to learn how to identify and manage these emotional weeds. Stoic philosophy offers an interesting perspective on envy. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic thinkers, once said, "Envy is the enemy of the fortunate." This phrase reminds us that envy often arises when we perceive that others have what we desire. But what happens when that envy disguises itself as friendship? Social psychologist Leon Festinger developed the social comparison theory, which explains how people evaluate their own opinions and abilities by comparing themselves to others. The secret envious takes this comparison to the extreme, seeing each of your successes as a threat to their own self-worth. But how can we identify this character in our lives? Here are some revealing signs. 1. Superficial compliments. Their congratulations sound hollow or forced. 2. Quick topic change. They divert the conversation when it comes to your successes. 3. Hidden competition. They always have a story to one-up yours. 4. Joy at your failures. They show suspicious enthusiasm when things don't go well for you. So, once we've identified the secret envious, what can we do? The answer isn't as simple as cutting ties, especially if it's a close family member or colleague. Instead, we can adopt a wiser and more compassionate strategy. First, practice empathy. Remember that envy often stems from insecurity and fear. As philosopher Bertrand Russell said, envy is one of the most universal and disintegrating of human emotions. Understanding this can help us respond with compassion rather than resentment. Second, cultivate gratitude. The more grateful we are for what we have, the less we are affected by others' negativity. Keep a gratitude journal and write down 3 things you're grateful for each day. Third, set healthy boundaries. You don't have to share all your successes or plans with the secret envious. Learn to be selective with the information you share. Fourth, strengthen your self-esteem. The more secure you are in yourself, the less you'll be affected by others' envy. Celebrate your achievements no matter how small, and don't rely on external validation. Fifth, practice compassion. Sometimes, showing kindness towards someone who struggles with envy can transform the relationship. As the Dalai Lama said, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." Remember, the goal is not to become indifferent to others' emotions, but to develop emotional resilience to navigate these turbulent waters with grace and wisdom. Now let's move on to the 8th and final type of person to avoid in your old age, the energy vampire. Have you ever felt that someone leaves you drained after a simple conversation? Get ready to discover a disturbing truth. There are vampires among us, but not the garlic-fearing kind. These beings feed on something far more valuable than blood, your life energy. These individuals, unlike their fictional namesakes, don't need fangs to drain your vitality. Their presence alone can leave you feeling exhausted, unmotivated, and empty. But how do you identify these energy thieves? Imagine having a chat with a friend, and instead of feeling refreshed, you feel like you've run a marathon. That feeling of unexplained exhaustion is the trademark of the energy vampire. Psychologist Albert H. Bernstein, in his book Emotional Vampires, describes these people as individuals who constantly seek attention and sympathy, but rarely return it. They are like emotional sponges that soak up your good mood and peace of mind, leaving you feeling empty. But why are they so dangerous in old age? As we age, our energy becomes an increasingly valuable resource. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology revealed that older people who maintain high levels of energy and enthusiasm are 35% less likely to develop chronic health problems. In other words, your vitality is not just a matter of well-being, it's a matter of survival. The Greek philosopher Aristotle once said, "The energy of the mind is the essence of life." In our golden age, this energy becomes the fuel that drives our passions, our relationships, and our ability to enjoy each day. Allowing an energy vampire to drain this precious resource is like letting someone steal the elixir of youth. Now, Let's not confuse energy vampires with people who are simply going through a rough patch. We all need support at times. The difference lies in consistency and reciprocity. An energy vampire is like a bottomless pit. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. Sound familiar? Maybe it's that friend who always has a crisis to solve but never has time to listen to your problems. Or maybe it's that relative who turns every family gathering into a soap opera-worthy drama, leaving everyone emotionally drained. But don't despair, dear listener. Just as there are methods to protect yourself from mythological vampires, there are also strategies to defend yourself from energetic vampires, and no, you won't need garlic or wooden stakes. The key is what psychologist Carl Jung called setting healthy boundaries. Imagine that your energy is like a precious garden. Boundaries are the fence that protects that garden from intruders who want to trample your flowers. It's not about being rude or unkind, but about caring for your well-being with the same dedication with which you care for others. One effective technique is the visualization of the energy shield. Before interacting with a known energy vampire, imagine that you are surrounded by a golden force field. This shield allows positivity to enter, but repels any negativity or attempted energy drain. It may sound a bit esoteric, but studies in cognitive psychology have shown that these types of visualizations can have a real impact on our emotional state. Another strategy is what I call the mirror technique. When the energy vampire tries to dump its negativity on you, instead of absorbing it, reflect with kindness. For example, I understand that you are going through a difficult time. Have you thought about how you might approach this situation in a positive way? This technique not only protects you, but can also help the other person gain perspective. Remember, dear friend, that your energy in old age is like a treasure accumulated over the years. Every experience, every laugh, every moment of joy has contributed to that treasure. Don't let anyone steal it from you. As the poet Rumi said, you are a gold mine hidden within yourself. Don't go begging around the corners of the universe. Find your own treasure. As you reach old age, you have the power to choose who surrounds you. Like a skilled gardener, cultivate relationships that bring you value, energy, and happiness. Getting away from toxic people is as important as cutting weeds in a garden. Remember that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. If you surround yourself with negativity, you will become part of it. Take care of your well-being by choosing your company carefully. The key is to recognize which relationships nourish your soul and which drain it. Don't be afraid to set healthy boundaries. Prioritize your happiness and emotional well-being. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, support you, and make you feel alive. Your old age is your choice. Make it a time filled with joy and growth. If you've made it this far, write in the comments, "I choose to be this way." I will know who are the victorious ones who made it to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more content like this in the future. Share this video with your loved ones so they can implement this wisdom starting today. And if you'd like to support the channel, consider becoming an exclusive member. I'll leave a link in the commentary for you to download my ebook. Thank you for your support. Now click on this video to continue nourishing your mind with wisdom. A big hug and see you next time.